Hi, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Jennifer Matthews. I am the Director of International Admissions here at Syracuse University. And me and my colleague, Juan Tavares, who I'll let him introduce himself in a moment, are going to be giving you this session about the Center for International Services, what services they provide to you, as well as some updates about what we do know related to fall planning. Some things are still under discussion, so we'll definitely do our best to answer your questions. But we'll give you the best updates that we can at the moment. And in terms of the session, there are sort of a few housekeeping things. Juan and I are going to give a presentation just for some practical information for you all that we feel that you need to know. And then once we're done with that presentation, we will open up the floor for questions and answers. So we will be doing a Q&A. The presentation isn't terribly long because we wanted to give plenty of time for all of you to get your questions answered. So just as a quick plea to maybe hold your questions a little bit later in the session. So with no further ado, if my colleague Juan would like to introduce himself, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning and good evening, good afternoon, everybody. And we're really happy to see that you have joined us. And thank you again for the opportunity, Jen, and thanks for the introduction. I'm Juan Tavares, the Director of the Center for International Services, and I'm really excited to be here with you today to answer some of your questions and let you know that we're all very excited about the fall semester coming up and to have you on campus as well. So thank you.
Great. Okay, so what I wanted to sort of start off with, we're going to go through a couple of sort of practical action items from the admissions office side of things. And after that, I'll pass the presentation over to Juan to talk about international services. So to start off, we are really proud of the fact that Syracuse is a very global community, and we really are looking forward to you becoming a part of that and bringing your perspective and your unique cultural background to our campus to enrich our culture. SU students come from over 170 different countries around the world. As you can see, we have close to 4,000 international students enrolled at Syracuse, just over 2,000 undergraduate students, just like you, and about 1,700 graduate students that, again, come from a number of different countries. Okay, so again, just a few practical tidbits from the admission side of things. So when you decide that you're ready to join the Orange family, the first thing that you will do is complete the admissions acceptance form. So in your admission letter, there is a link for this. Some of you may have already done this, and you fill out this form. And that will take you to the page where you can also pay your deposit. There is an enrollment deposit as well as a housing deposit. And then once you do that, you have secured your seat here at Syracuse. And we really encourage you after that point to make sure that you're joining all of our sessions, joining our social media groups for admitted students, because that's really going to help you get connected into our community immediately. You're going to start to get to know other incoming students. A number of our current students who work in the admissions office are doing sessions and student panels. So you're going to have a chance to really connect into our community basically immediately. And we certainly encourage you to do that. So one quick note about the admissions acceptance form. If you are a conditionally admitted student, then you will not yet have access to this form until you have fulfilled your condition and been fully admitted to the university. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're a conditionally admitted student and you're looking for this form, you won't have access to it quite yet. So if you have any questions about that, you can certainly email the admissions office, and we're happy to help walk you through that. Okay, so a few things that happen after that, right? Once you've committed, we're really excited. You're officially part of the Orange family. The new to SU website is our first year student website, and that's where it's going to be the hub of all of the information you need to know about what steps you'll have to complete over the summer, and student orientation and all of those fun things that that get you ready for your first year. So a few, like I said, sort of nuts and bolts. We will ask you to complete your housing application by June 1. And there's a new platform that we're using called My College Roomie. So again, going to the housing application piece and social media, right? You can go onto My College Roomie and start interacting with other incoming students so that you can maybe find a roommate. It's a platform for you to connect to other students who are coming into the class. And then another thing that the admissions office asks you to do is to have your high school counselor or a teacher, depending on what school you're at, send in your final high school transcript and proof of high school graduation. So this is a document that we know that different schools and different countries finish at different times. So you'll start getting emails from us over the summer, and students are always like, oh, I can't get it by July. That's okay. We know that. So as an admissions office, again, you can always email us and we'll work with you in your specific situation. But we do want you to submit your final high school transcripts and your proof of graduation when you come in. And then another thing, and we're going to talk a lot more about this soon, but another thing is to really stay tuned to your local embassies websites. Stay sort of abreast of everything that's going on and all the announcements from the State Department, when visa appointments are opening. I know some of you have already procured your visa, so congratulations if you have. That's fantastic. And I know some of you are still working on trying to get appointments. We know this is kind of an uncertain time and it varies widely country to country. So definitely keep in touch with, keep your eyes out, I guess, for the embassies and for the State Department website. They're full of great information and the most up-to-date information about visa appointments. So that's a really important step. Okay, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Juan to talk a little bit more about, sort of other steps that you'll be taking over the summer, a little information about some of the requirements of the university, and some wonderful information about the support services that they offer.
Thank you again, Jen. Hello, everybody again. Things that you want to do in terms of preparing, like Jennifer mentioned, I'm sure all of you are eager to book your visa appointments, and you still have time for that. Remember that most schools have different times when they start the university in August. For us, the first day of school is August 30th, which means that you will be able to get a visa issued 120 days before that, which is April 30th. So you are still ahead of the game if you've already started your application for a visa appointment. So good work with that. The Center for International Services has an extensive website, and we have information about orientation that's already posted in terms of the dates at least, but not the details of the daily schedule. That's coming up soon. But I encourage you to go to our website and take a look at the things that you want to do to look into the orientation that we're making plans for. There's a mandatory university health insurance plan that's, again, it's on our website as well. And we are having the Virtual Welcome Academy. You will be getting invitations to participate in that. It's a free 15 hours of seminars that are available to all students in all countries. And this is a great opportunity for you to get a head start into becoming part of the Orange family. There's also information that we've listed on our website, and we also have a WeChat account that is available for students that are in China. International orientation, again, as I mentioned, we have the move-in being planned, and all of that information is on our website. It's really important that once you arrive in the United States, that you do the immigration check-in with our office. You have to upload a few documents like your I-20, your passport, your visa, and your I-94 arrival information. We will be conducting campus tours and also be part of the Connections Mentor program that we have. And aside from that, there's a few placement exams that you may have to take here when you arrive. Next. Okay, again, a summary of all the services that we provide for you here in the Center for International Services. We have all the immigration advising that you could possibly want. We will give it to you. And we have open advising between 11 and 3 every day. We have programs like Mix It Up is a great opportunity to come to the center, engage with other students from many different countries, have a meal. And we also have an English conversation group table. That's a great program for you to come in and meet with other students and improve your English conversation. The Connections Mentorship Program is a great program where you, as a first-year student, will be assigned a mentor, another student that's an upper-level student, to help you navigate all the different things that happen when you come to the United States as a new student. International Dialogue is it's a weekend getaway that we do in the spring. And the International Festival is a fairly new activity that we've organized, and we're looking at doing it in the fall. Okay, we've done some adjustments to, and you probably already noticed that when you received your new I-20, you didn't get it in the mail in a FedEx or UPS or a packet. You got it in an email, which is permitted under the current guidelines for immigration in the United States. So the delivery of your I-20 has happened via email, which is acceptable, and you can use it, print it, and go to your visa appointment with that without any problems, okay? So we're looking at contingency plans that are being developed in terms of COVID, but again, the university has announced that we're going with in-person class at 100% with some availability of other methods of instruction. But primarily, it's important for everyone to know that the university has announced that we're going 100%. And then we're looking at the vaccination requirements that the university has just announced, that all students arriving and before they have access to campus will have to have a vaccine, which is going to be available on campus and within our community. And we're also waiting to hear confirmation of whether vaccines that are taken in other countries will be accepted. That is being developed right now. Again, back to international services, we are open Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5, and in the summer, 8 to 4:30. There's our phone number, our email address, our website. And again, like I mentioned, in our center, you don't have to have an appointment to come and talk to an advisor. You can come in, walk in Monday through Friday between 11 and 3, and someone will be here to help you and answer your questions. That can be done in person, by phone, Zoom, Team, or Skype. Again, all the appointments are available, but you don't have to have them. You can just walk in. Okay? Thank you.
All right, and I would just like to say hello as well. My name is Brian Kovic. I work in the Office of Admissions here at Syracuse. Welcome, everyone. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. I don't see any submitted right now, but we'll wait a few minutes to see if we get any questions about anything that you might want answered.
Great. In the meantime, I wanted to say thank you to Juan to sharing a lot of information about international services. One thing I did want to mention is really just a congratulations. This was truly a very competitive year this year, and we had our largest application pool in institution history this year. So congratulations for your accomplishment. And we're really thrilled that you are considering being part of the Orange family.
So Jen, we have a question. Yeah. Can you talk more about the placement exams?
Sure. So there are two sort of main exams that you may be required to take. And this is a case-by-case individual student situation. But one of them is a math placement exam and the other one is an English placement exam. So I will say that one thing to know is that if the admissions office granted you a TOEFL waiver during the admissions process, that does not mean that you're not going to have to take the English placement exam. So most students who are coming into the university will have to take an English placement exam when you get to campus, but that is something you will schedule when you're working on registration for orientation.
Thank you, Jen. Juan, we have a question. We recently received an email stating that we require the COVID vaccine to be on campus for next fall, but I don't think I can receive the vaccine by then. Is there any workaround? Are any international students eligible for the vaccine on campus?
Yes, the answer is yes. Right now, there's plans to acquire more vaccines. So there's a limited supply for on campus right now, but the county, the Onondaga County, where we are located, has plenty of opportunities and availability for vaccines for anybody that's over the age of 16.
Thank you, Juan. You have another question for you. How far in advance should a student apply for a visa?
You can apply for an appointment right now, but like I said, they will not issue a visa until 120 days before the start of the semester. And for us, our semester begins on August 30th. So the earliest that you'll be able to be issued a visa is going to be April 30th.
Thank you, Juan. I have a question for both of you. Just could you speak a little bit more about our orientation for international students?
Absolutely. Our orientation is being planned, and we have the tentative dates. Our intent is to have an orientation program that's going to be as much in person as possible. We are securing the locations, the buildings where we're going to have the different meetings and the different activities. We are planning a welcome dinner. It's a very robust schedule, and we do that in conjunction with the first year and transfer programs department. So again, the orientation for international students will be together with the students from the United States as much as possible. It's going to be fun.
Orientation week is a good time, everyone. You'll have a lot of fun. It's a lot of information you get at one time, but you certainly will have a good time doing that. And one thing I did want to sort of circle back a little bit to the question about the vaccines. In order to have access to move into your residence hall, you're going to have proof that you've gotten the vaccine. So if you do plan to come to the US and get your vaccine here, which to our knowledge will be an option for most students, if you're unable to get it in your home country, you will have to plan to stay in a hotel in the local area for quarantine purposes. So just be aware of that when you're planning.
Thank you, Jen. A question for you. Could you speak a little bit more about how, the process of actually registering for classes? So when that will take place and sort of how that is handled?
May I just circle back a little bit to add something that Jennifer mentioned?
Yes.
Again, you can arrive into the United States 30 days before the classes begin. So you can actually arrive on July 30th and start taking the vaccines and getting ready for classes.
Yeah, that's a great point, Juan. So definitely, again, prepare accordingly, with that information. And we'll, as more information is solidified, more information will become available to you on the website and so on. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And as for class registration, so that process happens over the summer. So I mentioned earlier, that you'll get to apply for housing. So the other thing that will happen is that your home college academic advisors will be in touch with you over the summer, and they will work with you remotely to work on your class schedule for your first semester. So all of that happens in advance to coming to campus. You'll have lots of contact with your home college advisors over the summer, and they're going to help guide you through that process.
Thank you, Jen. Juan, a question for you. Are Indian vaccines like Covaxin and Covishield accepted?
I mentioned earlier that has not been officially decided at the university, but there's a likelihood that they will be accepted, but that hasn't been announced yet. So we just have to wait until that happens.
All right, Jen, a question for you. If a student has been conditionally admitted, is it guaranteed that they will be officially accepted?
Okay, so I believe most of you have gotten, if you are conditionally admitted, have gotten emails from our office about the deadline. So we have a deadline of April 15th to submit your documentation. If you submit your conditional admission financial documentation or English documentation before that date, then yes, you are guaranteed to get full admission. After April 15th, it's on a case-by-case basis as space is available. So if you want to secure your seat, you really need to get your documentation to us by April 15th. After that, it's, like I said, it's a case-by-case basis. We will assess space availability at that time, through the end of April. So definitely, if you really are keen on the Orange family and you really want to come join us in the fall, I would highly recommend getting your documentation in before April 15th.
Thank you, Jen. Juan, a question for you. If a student can't register for a visa appointment because it's only open for getting emergency visas in their home country, is it okay if they eventually just apply for an emergency visa?
That really depends on the consulate in each country. All cases are different, but I know of some students that in their home country, their visa appointments are not available and they're going to third countries to do that. So that's a personal decision that a family and you would have to take, but that's a possibility. When the embassy says emergency appointments only, I'm not sure if they're considering a student visa application as an emergency. So you just have to contact them directly, and they usually have telephones or emails that you can reach them to ask the question.
Yeah, and I would also add to that, do not get a tourist visa to come here to study. Okay, you will be out of status immediately. So it's very important that you come in with your student visa. And some to Juan's point, some embassies and consulates are giving emergency appointments for student visas, but it's a complete case-by-case basis based on your home country's embassies and consulates. So again, it's really important, to Juan's point, that you get in contact with them directly to ask that question.
Juan, another question for you. If a student is not able to get vaccinated in their home country until August, will they be able to enter the US without any problems?
As of right now, the United States is not requiring for someone to enter the United States to be vaccinated. So most airlines will tell you, excuse me, and that's part of the requirement from anybody arriving into the United States right now, that you have a negative COVID test 3 days before you land into the United States. That's the only requirement right now. But in terms of vaccine, that has not been announced.
Okay, a general question. Are international students able to stay in their dorms on campus during the holidays? If so, are there extra fees to pay for this? Maybe Jen, would you like to take that?
I think Juan can probably take that one. He works with the students who are staying over break.
Yeah, absolutely. The answer is break periods. For example, the winter break period, which is the longest, the expectation is that everyone will be moving out. You can leave your belongings in your dorm, but you have to find another place to stay. Now, they make accommodations if anybody wants and requests that they need a place to stay. So that has happened on a case-by-case basis. And yes, there is a daily fee that you will have to pay. But for a period of time like spring break, for example, there's no need to move your things out, or you can stay in your rooms during spring breaks typically.
Jen, can you talk a little bit more about the bank statement that is required to be fully admitted?
Sure. So essentially, and Juan can also add details to this, the requirement is a US federal government requirement, and it has to be proof of liquid funds. So it can't be a tax statement, it can't be a salary statement. It has to be a bank account statement or a bank letter that indicates the balance of the account, or is a letter from the bank that certifies that the account that you're writing about has the funds that meet the cost of attendance for the university for the year. And that information in terms of the cost of attendance dollar amount is in your letter. So that information, again, it can be a bank letter or it can be a bank statement, and the date has to be within, I want to say 6 months of start of term. So it should be a recent statement. And again, but it has to be proof of liquid funds, no tax statements, income statements, nothing, salary statements, none of that will be sufficient from the government standpoint.
Thank you, Jen. Another question, if a student cannot meet the admission condition in time, are there any other options for them to be able to defer their admission?
Okay, so that's a great question. Unfortunately, we don't allow conditionally admitted students to defer, because in order to be able to defer, you have to commit to the institution. So this is actually something that I wanted to mention, so I'm glad somebody asked. The deferral process for Syracuse is that you have to submit the admission acceptance form and pay your deposit, and in order to secure your seat. And so what happens is that there's sort of two options. The first is that if you submit the AAF and you know that you're going to request a deferral at that time, you can actually request it on the admissions acceptance form itself. So if you know that you're planning to request a deferral, you can go ahead and do that at the time that you're committing to the university. If you are not sure yet, you can go ahead, submit the AAF, you can pay your deposit, and then email our office later, and we can send you the form that will allow you to request a deferral. So we don't allow conditionally admitted students to defer because you can't commit to the institution until after your full admit. Now, if you are conditionally admitted and you don't meet the condition, over the summer, like I said, we sort of will continue to take documents on a case-by-case basis if space is still available in the program. So it's a question, like I said, it's a sort of case-by-case basis, but you can always email our office to inquire that. But if you are unable to commit to the institution, then you will have to reapply for admission in future term.
Thank you, Jen. Juan, a question for you. If a student scheduled their visa appointment for April 22nd, but they just received a new I-20 from Syracuse, do they need to redo the process, or can they print out the new I-20 and bring it to the appointment with them?
Yes, absolutely. Just print the I-20, the new one that we sent to you, and use that to go to your appointment. No need to redo the appointment.
Great. Jen, a question for you. When can we start applying for housing for our future roommate?
Great question. So that information usually, okay, so first of all, if you were early decision admission and you committed early, you should have already gotten that. But if you are a regular decision student who's been admitted, that information will start coming after May 1st. So we have a commitment deadline of May 1. After that date is when all of the other offices will start sending you stuff. So housing for your housing application, the question about course registration, all of that information will start coming to you after May 1.
Great. Another question for you, Jen. Are international students eligible for on-campus jobs? If so, how would one apply for that?
Okay, so it's a great question. And actually, yes, international students are actually only available for on-campus jobs, as one can probably extrapolate on. There's a government requirement that students who are on student visas can work up to 20 hours a week part-time on campus, but they're not eligible to work off campus. So that's actually a caveat to your student visa. But yes, absolutely. So there are two types of jobs that you'll find. We actually have a campus job search program that's called Handshake. And you actually will have access to that as a student even over the summer. If you wanted to start looking for fall semester jobs over the summer, they'll be in the Handshake portal. And with your student login information, you'll be able to access that. And so what happens is there's sort of two types of jobs available. There's what we call federal work study jobs, and then there's non-work study jobs. So if the job is a federal work study job, then unfortunately an international student is not eligible for that position because it's being funded by by funds from the US government. It's being subsidized. But if you are finding jobs on there that are not federal work study, then you absolutely can apply for any of them. And lots of our international students have on-campus jobs in many offices across campus. They work in IT, they work in food services, they work in some of the departments, they work as assistants. Some of them are, dean's assistants in different their home colleges, lots of opportunities to do on-campus jobs. And we have a number of them available. So definitely, like I said, over the summer, you're welcome to start browsing those openings on Handshake.
Thank you, Jen. A question for you. Should a student apply for a visa if they plan to apply for a green card after they arrive in the US?
Yeah, I see the question actually is asking whether they can come in with an immigrant visa. The answer is no. You need to enter the United States with your F1 visa, or you won't be able to enroll and you'll be out of status, like Jennifer mentioned. So if the person has the process of applying for a green card or permanent residency in process, that is a totally different situation. It doesn't allow them to come in with any other visa other than the student visa. Again, I just want to make sure that's really clear. Come in with your F1 visa, or you won't be able to enroll and be in status.
We have a question. If a student is not able to get their visa or an emergency visa in time, will we provide online courses?
That is a great question. The university is still sort of assessing that question at the moment. As Juan mentioned earlier, at the moment, we are planning to go fully in person. That said, they know that international students have accentuating circumstances, and I think they're looking at options that may be available to you, but that information has not been determined yet. So definitely keep an eye on your email, watch the website. That information, as it becomes available, will be posted online, and again, come to you via email. But at the moment, that is not the plan.
Thank you, Jen. We have a question. How long will our winter break be?
Juan, you want to take that one?
I would have to look at the website for the schedule that has been posted, but it is typically fairly long, sometimes up to 29, 30 days total. It's somewhere around that period of time.
Juan, a question for you. If a student gets the vaccine on campus, how many days should they quarantine?
Right now, the quarantine requirements from the state of New York is that you are to get a negative test 3 days before you fly, and then that you have to quarantine for 3 days. And on day 4, you can exit quarantine to go get tested. If you're test negative, you can exit quarantine. So right now, the quarantine requirements are, this is what is in place right now. We don't know what it's going to be in August.
Definitely. Again, that is information that will continue to be updated as we know it. But that is, to Juan's point, that is a state of New York requirement at the moment. But if you have a negative COVID test, you'll be able to exit quarantine early.
Juan, another question for you. Do students from Canada need to get a visa since they can travel to the US without a visa?
Absolutely. Students from Canada do not require a visa. They do need to pay the CVIS fee, and they need to come through either in the airport or the border and have a valid passport with a valid I-20. But a visa is not required for Canadian citizens.
Great.
Yes.
Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was just going to say, so yes, you do need an I-20, but you don't need a visa.
We have a question here. Am I able to work with the Syracuse sports team as a team manager or participate in any internship under an F1 visa? Is there a limit to how much I can work per week?
Sure, I'll take that. Basically, yes, you can work on campus. Like Jen mentioned, you have a limit of 20 hours a week. So this would be considered a campus job. Anything off campus, considered off campus, there's opportunities to do that. Go into the website and look at the information on employment that we have that talks about CPT. and OPT benefits. There are extensive information about CPT, for example.
Probably, Jen, a question for you. Are there any clubs or student organizations on campus that international students cannot join?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. To my knowledge, there's no organization that prohibits any specific students from joining them. There are some organizations that have sort of a membership component to them, and you would be able to apply for membership or get recruited, such as the Greek organizations, the fraternities and sororities. But to my knowledge, there's no organization on campus that would exclude a student just because they're an international student.
I can add, in fact, that in the constitutions of the organizations, it's pretty clear and made explicit that the opportunity to join an organization is open to everyone.
Great, thank you, Juan. We have just a couple more questions. So when will students start to receive emails over the summer about things like housing? When will their advisors start to contact them in the future? When can they start to choose their classes over the summer?
Absolutely. So kind of on the note that I had mentioned earlier, most of that information will start to roll out to you after May 1. So, the housing application form, your advisors will get in touch with you. Usually I would say sort of toward the end of May. So those things will start to happen in steps over the summer after that May 1 commitment deadline. So just again, it's really important to stay connected to your email and watch for regular updates, because they will be coming to you sort of in phases, after May 1. So, you'll get that information, good timing. Again, you're going to have a lot of help along the way with that, especially with course selection. You'll have an academic advisor who will walk you through all of that, who will be in regular touch with you. It is very important to if you go to the New to SU website that I had mentioned in the PowerPoint sort of early, that has sort of like a to-do list on it. So if you want to know more about what steps will be required of you over the summer, you can go there and check out that list, and it'll sort of keep you on track for the different things that you'll have to do over the summer to get ready to come. And again, you're going to get lots of email. You're going to have lots of people in contact with you in various offices to help you with all of those different steps.
Thank you, Jen. We have another question. Does my advanced tuition payment, once I commit, get paid by the scholarship I am given, or do I have to pay this out of pocket?
Okay, so that's a great question. So if you received a scholarship, what happens is that scholarship is put onto what we call your bursar bill. The bursar is the office that issues the bills for the university. So what will happen is that scholarship is on your account, and it's deducted from the total amount that you would have to owe. So your bill would be reduced by the amount of the scholarship. And that scholarship, keep in mind, is split in half for each semester, right? So if you got a half tuition scholarship and it doesn't show a deduction of that total amount in your first bill, that's because it's for just one semester. So just remember that your scholarship is for the whole year, and you'll get billed each semester. And so it will be deducted from your bursar bill, and you won't have to pay the whole thing. You'll just have to pay what the balance is, but it is by semester. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your bursar bill. Those come available, I believe, in July. Is that right, Juan? I think so. So just again, keep an eye out for your email, and that'll come to you over the summer.
Jen, a question for you. Will I receive a physical acceptance letter as well? If yes, when?
That's a great question. Yes, the answer is yes. The admissions office is sending them out through a vendor who's working with us to help us get them through the mail so that they get to you securely. As many of you know, there's been a lot of mail issues internationally over the last year due to COVID. So we're working with a new vendor this year. You will get it. It's going out on a rolling basis. So it'll be a few weeks after your full admission comes in through email. And if you haven't gotten, if it's been a while, perhaps you got admitted in, February and you haven't gotten a letter yet, send a message to our office and we can look into the status of that for you.
We have a question. Are there any additional fees for placement exams or to participate in the orientation in the summer?
No, not to my knowledge. One, I don't believe that there's any fees associated with those programs.
I don't believe there are any fees.
Yeah. Yeah, the only fee that I can think of that you may have is that if you decide to move into your residence hall early, which international students do have early access to residence halls, sometimes they may charge you an additional fee for those extra days before the whole university move-in day. So that is something to be aware of. But other than that, there should be no additional fees to participate in orientation programming or take placement exams or anything like that.
We have a question. What is the TB screening questionnaire, and is everyone required to do that?
I'll take that. Yes, you need to upload into the patient portal in the Barnes Center. You need to upload the results of your TB test, and that can be done at a later date.
Okay, those are all the questions so far.
Okay, great. I think these have all been wonderful questions. And also to make a quick note, our colleague Mike, who's also on the call right now, has been posting some of the information in the chat. So if you wanted to know, he did post that he confirmed that winter break will be 30 days. And he also posted the link to our office's deferral policy. So definitely take a look at that. One thing I did not mention when I was talking about the deferral policy is that if you did get a scholarship and you do opt to defer, that scholarship will come with you to the next academic year. So that's hopefully good news for you.
We have another question. Can we enter a sports team if we do not have a scholarship in that particular sport?
So that's a great question. So some of our sports have the opportunity to do what we call walk-on tryouts. Not all of our sports are eligible for that. So the basketball team and the American football team do not allow for walk-ons, but other sports do. So it totally depends on the sport itself that you're interested in. One of the things that we recommend if you are interested in trying out for a varsity team is to go to the athletics webpage and get in touch with the coaching staff for the sport that you're interested in. They have a whole directory of the coaching staff. It's cues.com is our athletics webpage. And you can absolutely find out more there about the possibility of trying out for a varsity team. Now, we also have club and intramural sports at SU. So if you wanted to play a sport that's not at the varsity level, but you still want to play competitively, club sports are a fantastic opportunity. You're still playing against other schools competitively. It's a lot of fun. And intramural sports are when you have two teams both on campus that are playing each other. So we have tons of opportunities to get involved in some kind of athletic program, even if you're not accepted onto a varsity team.
We have a two-part question. Can a student apply for a bigger scholarship after the fall or after their first year? Are international students also eligible for loans through a private organization?
Okay, so both good questions. You would not be able to get apply for additional scholarship funding through the financial aid office. But some of our departments do have opportunities for you to apply to scholarships through their offices, or you could apply for grants for study abroad or research opportunities. So there are some additional funding opportunities you can apply for once you're a student, but it wouldn't be a merit scholarship. So that would not come through the financial aid office. That would be based on your academic department or based on an extracurricular or experiential program that you wanted to do. And as for private loans, there's a couple, yes, you can. There's a company that's called Empower that does international student loans, but you have to be an upperclassman to apply for them. So you have to be at least a junior at Syracuse in order to apply for an Empower student loan through their company. And there are some banks in the US that will allow you to apply for private loans, but you have to have a US citizen as a cosigner. And no one on this campus will do that for you. We do not allow staff to co-sign for private loans. So that's just information to be aware of. There are possibilities for it, but it is not something that I would guarantee or count on.
Thank you, Jen. If a student was selected for the 1870 scholarship, will that adjust?
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Will that adjust according to the varying tuition fees? And then I have a second part after.
Yes, so the answer is that is yes. If you received an 1870 full tuition scholarship, congratulations. That's a huge deal. We did not give very many of those to our students this year. So really it's quite an accomplishment. And the answer is yes, as tuition fees go up, that scholarship will increase.
And then as a follow-up, if that student decides to do a double major, will there be any additional fees?
No, actually, we have a flat rate tuition at Syracuse. So every student pays the same amount regardless of how many classes you're taking or regardless of how many majors you take.
So a general question, is our campus safe?
Juan, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, generally speaking, of course, yes, it is very safe. But my suggestion to anybody coming to the United States is that you use common sense if you're going to walk at night really late somewhere, that try to go with a buddy, a friend, and use, the campus has all kinds of resources for free rides that you don't have to go by yourself at night. You can just call and we'll pick you up and take you. So just take advantage of those things. But generally, yes, our campus is very safe.
Yes, and we also have the Department of Public Safety. They are our campus police force. They are very helpful. They really work well with our students. Sometimes you can call them and get an escort if you are working late, or if you're studying late at night and you want to have someone to walk you back to your residence hall. They're available to help you out with that, and and they keep our campus safe.
We have a question about studying abroad. Can a student study abroad even though they didn't apply for the Discovery program on their application?
Yes, absolutely. So the Discovery program is only one of many study abroad options that we have at Syracuse. The Discovery program is for first-year students, their very first semester. You will have lots of opportunities to study abroad as a student. One of the unique things about Syracuse and our study abroad options is that all of our colleges have developed their own. So if you're a student who is in an engineering program or you're in architecture, some of these programs traditionally are very difficult to study abroad in because it takes time out of a very sort of strict curriculum that you have. But our institution has developed study abroad programs specifically for those majors so that you don't lose any time toward your degree progress in order to study abroad. And we have lots of options. We have semester-long options, we have short-term options, we have summer options. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to study abroad. We have programs in about 60 different countries around the world. SU has 4 different centers that we own in different places around the world. So lots of opportunities. Or is it 5 centers? Anyway, lots of different opportunities for students to study abroad.
We have a question about transportation. So what are there free transportation type services on campus that students can take advantage of?
Yes, absolutely. The bus system in the city is completely free for students. In fact, I'm a user. I take the bus in the morning and at night to go home, and it's a great service. I just have to show my SUID and I get in.
Yeah, the bus system is very robust. We have a campus sort of bus shuttle system. And as Juan said, the city bus system is very robust, takes students all over, and you can ride it completely free. So yeah, it's a great option.
All right, so I think those are all the questions that we've received. Thank you, Jen and Juan, for your very in-depth answers.
Absolutely, it is our pleasure. So I think that we'll maybe wrap it up. We really appreciate all of you coming today. We hope that this information was helpful. We know that not all of your questions we were able to answer right now, but please be assured that the institution is working very hard on plans to support you in all of the different situations, that we're very aware of all of the issues related to travel restrictions and embassy closures and things like that. So we will do our very best to support you and help you and provide information as it becomes available over the coming weeks and months. Okay, any last words, Juan?
Well, I just want to second what Jen is saying. You know, we're really happy that you came today, and we're doing everything possible to welcome you. So we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. We're really excited to have you. And welcome to the Orange family.
Welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.